Hi, my name is Shonisani Masutha. I currently reside in Venda, and what I do for a living is that I sit in the executive of CUCSA. CUCSA stands for the Confederation of University Sports Association, and it exists in Africa Region 5. I moved around a lot. For example, I started my primary school at Shonisani Primary School, which is at Zone 4 Pimville in Gauteng Province. That is in Soweto. Then I moved to Mabunga Primary School, which is basically in Venda. I then moved again to do my grade 6 and 7 at Hillside Combined School, which is a private school that is based in Biaba in Jadede. And then from there I went to do my grade 8 until grade 12, which is matric, at Progress Comprehensive High School, which is also in Pimville Zone 4 in Gauteng, Soweto. Then I went to the University of Venda to start my junior degree. And then I did social work as my junior degree, completed within 4 years. And I moved on to Masters in Public Health, completed that. And then I went to Menkosa, where I did my postgraduate diploma in business management. I then moved again to Yale University, where I did advanced health management program and basically completed with a cum laude distinction. So basically those are the different qualifications that I hold until date. So what happened for me to end up where I am today is that I did a 1-year course within moving into Dance Mopatongwata, which is basically a competitive dancing qualification. After that, when I went to the University of Venda, I had a car accident on my 4th year, which was final. So I could no longer do competitive dance anymore. So it then means that I had to do sports administration, which Mr. Thaba Patrick, who is the administrator of sport at the University of Venda, introduced me to it. I got there, I did sports administration, I continued with it. Mr. Thaba then said, no, let's go to a meeting. There was an annual general meeting for the University of Sports South Africa, popularly known as CUCSA. I got to CUCSA and Mr. Thaba specifically said to me, participate, whatever comes to your mind, just participate, give it your best. I got there, I gave it my best, I participated. We're speaking of the constitution and the different laws that are happening within CUCSA. CUCSA, just to give you a background, a brief of a background, is that CUCSA is basically an organization that coordinates different sporting codes within 32 universities that are found within South Africa. So it is comprised of your staff members, which are your officials, and students representative. So I then got elected into CUCSA as a student representative. After participation and so forth, we went to CUCSA, which is the Confederation of University Sports Association, which exists in Africa Region 5. We got there, we participated as well. One thing led to another, we made connections, and over time, as CUCSA was going for its annual general meeting, I then participated in it, and then that's how I moved from CUCSA, which is South African based, to CUCSA, which is Africa Region 5. What I'm responsible for in CUCSA is basically transformation. I'm currently put in line to develop the transformation charter for CUCSA and to make it a point that it is implemented, and first and foremost is that it is accepted within the annual general meeting and by the entire CUCSA executive and its constituency. From there on, I'm also tasked with the development of student and transformation within CUCSA as a whole, because my understanding is that CUCSA as an organization needs to feature both students and officials within the university setting and within the sports settings. But for you to be able to do that, you need to develop a cadre of students who are able to understand sports as an element, understand it as a sport that is played on the field, but also understand the background of it. Where is it going and what are the different laws and policies that are used? So I come in with the responsibility to make it a point that I coordinate all the student development and the leadership that is there, in making it a point that there is representation within CUCSA as an organization. It is a field that was, especially in management, that was very dominated by males. So we had to change the different laws, especially the constitutional amendments that only favored a single gender. So that has been a struggle that we went through for most of the time. But we went over that and we fought successfully. And today when you look at CUCSA, there's basically a good representation in terms of gender. Another major struggle, which is also even a struggle today, especially on your international bodies that are set in, is that there's no fair student representation within those different organizations. So you get there, you realize that even the constitution does not then oblige members to then elect students within it. As long as there's 1-2, then it is fine. So basically, my main challenge has always been, how do I get to an organization, assess the different constitutional amendments that are there, make it a point that I bring in proposal to can then have that representation that is fair and that also shows that is also a good reflection of the constitution that is there. And basically that's one of the challenges that I've had the most, that there's just not an equal representation. The most memorable moment of my career has been when I had to meet various women within sports. Women who showed me that it's possible for you to can get to any position that you'd want to get to. Women who then gave me the laws and the rules and the different lesson that then says to me, Shoni, you are capable beyond measure. I'll give you a practical example. We went into CUCSA and I didn't know anything. I found Sisnom Samatlang, who is currently the director of sports in the University of Johannesburg. She basically taught me most of the things I know. Currently, I sit within CUCSA. CUCSA has the president who is female, Ms. Khrevad Ilam, who's also the senior director of sports in her university. So it's the different women that I've met that have actually said, hey, child, you can actually become the best version of yourself. You only need to make it a point that you are vocal, that you understand the organization that you're in, and then whatever action or programs that are given to you, you are able to implement them. So my most memorable times would be the women that have been there and who have led by example. Of course, the traveling is part of it, but in many cases, the traveling is only as exciting as the people that guide you, the people that you spend your time with, the different countries that you get to see, the different people that you get to meet again, and the different avenues that you get to explore because of the surroundings that you have. So basically, one of the greatest advices that I can give based on my major experience has been surround yourself with women of which are women that actually knows why they are in organization and are willing to implement whatever activities or plan that they have. In fact, people that inspires me the most in life to start with is my sports administrator, Mr. Thaba. Mr. Thaba came across as a young person within sports, one of the youngest sports administrators that you can find within South Africa. And he said in different meetings of CUCSA, young as it is, and he said, I have students that I want to get into different sectors within sport and I want them to excel. Now, young as he is, short as he is, people used to think maybe we couldn't get there, that the University of Venda can't produce. But as I sit today, I'm more than proud to say there's more than just me. And the ladies that came after me have become better than what I did more than what I did. They are far more greater than I can. And it is all because of Mr. Thaba. So he's my inspiration because he taught me that whatever field you get into, you have a responsibility to make it a point that everyone else who comes behind you, they do not just become you, but they become greater than what you are. Another person who inspires me is my mother. I think in all the challenges that I've been through, especially when I had my accident, I was around the age of 22. She was the person who was bathing a 22-year-old from head to toe. She was the person who'd lift me up from my bed, put me to another bed or on a sofa or something like that. She'd wake up at 3 basically each and every single morning to make it a point that I have food by my bedside before she goes to work. And she'll come back and make it a point that she still tenders to me. So to have a woman with such a big heart in your life, it's basically a blessing. And I'm inspired by her because I now know that whatever happens in life, tomorrow might not be the same as today. And the next day will never be the same as yesterday. So whatever you give wholeheartedly and remain humble, because you never know what you have tomorrow. You never know what you lack. And you'll never know the people that are able to stand with you and those who can't stand with you. So always be kind to all the people. And that's the greatest lesson that my mother has taught me. Another person that is my greatest inspiration, she passed on last year, would be my grandmother, my maternal grandmother. She basically, like I said earlier, I grew up, I was born in Baragwanath in Soweto. So I was basically raised by my grandmother, and she was a domestic worker. But if you look at all the qualifications and where I am in life, you can never say and you can never tell that I was raised by a domestic worker. So that is the reason why I'll always cherish my grandmother so much. Number one, obvious. Caster Semenya. She is the best. She has defied the odds. She is a runner. She excels in the different responsibilities that she puts up, and she's the fastest. So basically, there's no need to even explain her further. She is just the best person that I've ever found, an athlete. The second person, women in sport, that I favor a lot is Chauke Dumisani. Chauke Dumisani has started a Chauke Dumisani Foundation, which is basically a foundation of netball. She is currently a coach. She now is with the TUT University, and she's giving it her best. She even goes around in different communities, making it a point that the girl child is able to enroll within netball and is able to become the best. I also am inspired by Morongwa Mahupe, who is basically a biker, a racer. What inspires me more about Mo is that she went into a field or a different sporting code where there were not lots of women, and it was very rare to see a woman on a bike. And she went there and she said, women, let's form this thing. You know, right now, if you look at her and her team, it's basically majority are women, and there are many of them. So I'm very, very much proud of her. I also love Renee. Renee is a dancer, basically a ballroom Latin dancer, very competitive. The reason why I like her so much is because she tapped into a sporting code that is not considered competitive. You know, it's considered as just one of those recreational activities. But when you go to other countries, you'll realize that ballroom and Latin, it's basically a sport, a competitive sport, like your football, like your chess, like your table tennis, like your tennis, and so forth, and swimming. So I like her for that, the fact that she was not fearful of the type of sport and the types of agenda that's around that sport. One other person that I love a lot, who reigns from Limpopo herself, would be as Tandwa Masilela. Tandwa Masilela is basically a fellow student that went to the University of Venda. But if you look at the different activities that she does, especially when it comes to participation in dance, you'll realize that she has beat the odds as well. And I like her mostly. When people will compare her with the people that have made it, but I've chosen Tandwa Masilela because she's one of the people that are on the ground and that necessarily understands how you start in life and how you become the best. So she's basically a great epitome in terms of how the journey becomes when you go towards greatness. Celebrating women in sports. Firstly, include them within the decision-making portfolios. If you can include them within the decision-making portfolios, then that is a greater way of inspiring them, of empowering them, and of making it a point that they even themselves take the initiative to inspire others. You know, you inspire one person, one woman, it escalates to many. You can also hold seminars, motivational talks that basically goes into different schools where girl students are. You know, groom young students, groom young children, groom young women, and celebrate them through grooming those younger ones, so that you can have a group or a pile of women who you know that when it comes to different sporting codes, you can simply just go and take out of them because they have become the best. And for those who are already established, we can celebrate women through profiling them. You know, profile each and every single one. Do not look at this person as 3,000 accolades already. Profile the one that's still upcoming. As a way of saying, we recognize your work, we recognize the good things that you're doing. We want you to also inspire another person. And those are one of the things that we can just use in order to make it a point that we celebrate the various women that we have in all different categories that are there. So my biggest achievement that I want before I retire, before I get out of this, is to have 10 ladies that I can point at and say, I've mentored these 10 ladies. And all 10 of them have successfully mentored other 10 who have also in return successfully mentored other 10. And all of these mentored ones will be in different sporting codes, in different positions within sports, others contributing to the policies of sports, other contributing to the different organizations that are there, other contributing even to the department of sports within South Africa as its own. So we're basically looking at ladies who come together and have a same focus into using sports in order to develop South Africa, and in order to fight against poverty using sports, in order to have access to different schools, regardless of their levels, and make it a point that even the ladies that are there are able to become good citizens and catalysts within the environment using sports, of course.